Kepa comes on. Kepa has a very interesting history with penalty shootouts in the Carabao Cup, as we know. He refused to come off in the 2019 final when Maurizio Sarri tried to bring him off in that game. He's obviously come on in the Super Cup and done well in that penalty shootout. I think he saved 4 penalties this season. But then he comes on, fails to save any of 11 Liverpool penalties, a couple of which were very savable, and then places his over the bar as well. What do you make of the decision to bring Kepa on then? Because, I mean, you mentioned already, Edouard Mendy is a fantastic goalkeeper. Not only has he had a brilliant game in this game, I think he was man of the match even without the win, to be honest. He's also someone who's had a great year personally. Moved to Chelsea, which was a huge move for him. Let's remember he's come from literally nowhere, it feels like, in footballing terms. He's won the African Cup of Nations. He's won the Champions League. He's cemented himself as one of the best keepers in the world. Here was his chance at winning another trophy. What do you think of the decision to bring Kepa on? Can you understand it?
I mean, you've taken me back there, actually, to the moment where obviously Sarri was in charge and he refused to come off. I completely forgot about that. And obviously they went on and obviously lost that shootout. And it was as a moment, everyone was saying he shouldn't be playing for the club after that moment. It got played down and brushed under the carpet. And here we are today talking about another shootout. And like you say, it's a mixed bag of results, really, for in terms of Kepa's success against the penalties. Like you say, he saved 4 this season. But I mean, for me, Mendy performed so well in that game, and he's got a feel for the game already. He's been playing, and they've brought Kepa on, who's probably barely had a warm up with 4 minutes to go at the end. He's come straight into a shootout with so much riding on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can say in hindsight, it's the manager's decision on this occasion. It could have been wrong. We don't know that. But for me, I feel as though Mendy should have stayed on the field. And it's his presence as well, Mendy in goal. He's huge. His reach as well. It must be so daunting stepping up as a penalty taker when you've got goalkeepers with that sort of presence in goal. I just feel as though Kepa is a lot smaller in stature as well. So, I mean, we know his reputation as a goalkeeper, Kepa. He's certainly had his critics over the years since coming to Chelsea with such a huge price tag as well. I feel as though players would prefer to face Kepa than they would see Mendy in goal. I know I certainly would.
I think it's such a difficult one with these two because actually you're right when you talk about Kepa and his reputation within Chelsea. He'd done a lot to repair that this year, though, it felt like. Because being Mendy's understudy, the pressure was kind of off him. And when Mendy was at AFCON, Kepa came in, did well. He's got a good penalty record this year. And it looked like he was starting to carry some favour again. And now he's become the calamity again. And I feel for him on an individual basis because I don't think it can be easy to deal with the pressure that he's going to face from this. But for me, like you say, that game was so intense in so many ways that coming into it, it was always going to be hard to pick up the intensity that everyone else was at, pick up the level that everyone was at. And Mendy had been performing so well that I would have banked on him a lot more, particularly when you looked at Liverpool had their reserve goalkeeper in. So really, you feel like you should have an advantage in that area. And penalties comes down to such fine margins that, look at Donnarumma's success from penalties, for example. He's such a big presence. And so much of the goal is filled when he's there that it puts players off. And Mendy has a similar thing. He's a lot bigger. And when he's had a game like that, where he's managed to produce the saves that he has, that definitely would have a psychological effect on some of the players. Now, you might argue, and hindsight is a wonderful thing, like you say, that Kepa coming on might have a psychological effect on some of the players. And they think, they're bringing him on because he's good. But he didn't really fill himself with glory. I think particularly about the Van Dijk penalty, where he stood in such an odd space in the goal. He stood over to one side, like he knew Van Dijk was going to go there. And Van Dijk did go there, and he got nothing on it still. It looked so poor. And I feel for him, but you invite that pressure on someone as a manager when you make that change. Now, of course, he also brought on Jorginho to take a penalty. And really, it's the same sort of thing. And his was successful. and you don't expect your goalkeeper to have to take a penalty or score, even if he does. But the manner in which he missed was bad, wasn't it? I don't understand. In modern football, when you're used to your goalkeeper playing the ball out from the back, you know that he's got a range of passing ability. If you're the goalkeeper, pick a corner and just try and pass the ball into it. If the other keeper saves it, you can understand. No one's going to judge you. It doesn't look that bad. It's done. When you take a goal kick from the penalty spot, as Kepa seemed to do, it was poor technique, wasn't it? And I know, obviously, you're criticising a goalkeeper for not taking a good shot, but a professional footballer should be able to hit a target.
I mean, the angle that you see the actual penalty taken, you actually don't realise how far over the bar it was. But I saw a graphic today, you know, where you see obviously the ball kind of placements in the goal, and it was at least 2 foot, 3 foot maybe even over the bar. And how is that even possible just from that close a range? But you saw it in his technique and how immediately, as soon as he stepped up to take the kick, and if you freeze it probably where before he actually strikes the ball, and you just see his body position, how he's leaning back, there's only one place it's going to go. It's either going to go get skied over the bar, or it's going to get put, you know, right into the roof of the net. But it looked terrible. So I honestly don't know what he was thinking for that, and he probably wasn't thinking. It was purely adrenaline and instinct to strike it in that way. But like you mentioned there, Kelleher didn't get close to any of Chelsea's penalties. Chelsea were very good with their penalties. Kepa got to very close. He got his hand on one of Liverpool's penalties. Probably should have saved it with a stronger wrist, but he just, you know, he flapped at it a little bit, and the power just into the net. But he definitely should have saved at least one, and that's the beauty of penalties, I suppose. And it went Liverpool's way in the end.